Get excited, Hogs fans, as if, well, you weren't already. The Arkansas Razorbacks are taking on Texas A&M in 2 weeks, and guess what? It's happening right here on THV 11. The news comes after this weekend's huge win over the Texas Longhorns. Arkansas is ranked number 20 in the AP poll, while the Aggies sit at number 7. That game is set for September 25th at 2:30 in Dallas. But before that, the Hogs will host Georgia Southern in Fayetteville next weekend. Much more on that throughout the day, tonight at 5 and 6. And our sports team will be following that. Good afternoon. Thanks for watching THV 11 News at Noon. I'm Michael Aaron here with meteorologist Nathan Scott, who's keeping an eye on the weather. It was another beautiful morning out there.
Nice morning, a little bit on the warm side though, much warmer than what we have been seeing because it's back, Michael. The humidity. Look at the numbers this morning. 72 was the low in Hot Springs, 70 in Pine Bluff, 72 in Monticello. So that moisture is surging its way back. Along with that, the sun has had some competition with the cloud cover, and these clouds are all associated in advance of Tropical Storm Nicholas still spinning out into the western Gulf of Mexico. Temperatures out there right now into the mid to upper 80s in some locations, and already seeing a few showers dot the landscape in South Arkansas. But there is where Tropical Storm Nicholas is right now, just off the coast of Texas. It is drifting its way off to the north and northeast, expected to make landfall in Texas by this evening. We're going to have the chance of a few showers out there today. Most of us will stay dry, 20% or less. Temperatures topping out into the mid to upper 80s, but the chance of rain does go up on Tuesday. I'll have more on that and what kind of impacts we could see here from Tropical Storm Nicholas a little bit later.
Nathan, thanks. New at noon, UAMS introduced members of the Army's 20-person medical team that will spend the next month assisting the hospital deal with the ongoing COVID surge. That team actually arrived in Arkansas last week, but over the next 30 days, they'll help the hospital handle increased capacity by treating both COVID and non-COVID patients. We're going to have much more on their efforts coming up right here tonight at 5 and 6. New cases were down this weekend. It's a hopeful sign as fall activities start picking up. 2,865 new infections were reported over the course of the weekend. That's the lowest weekend total, I should say, that we've seen in several weeks. Our active cases and hospitalizations continue a slow decline. Right now, around 19,000 Arkansans are dealing with COVID-19. More than 1,100 of those are fighting it from a hospital. Over the weekend, 68 more people died of COVID complications. Nationally, New York City public schools reopened for in-person learning this morning. The return to the classroom for the nation's largest school district comes as pediatric COVID-19 cases have spiked in other parts of the country. Elise Preston has more on the first day and the new timetable for younger kids getting the vaccine.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio welcomed back nearly 1 million students Monday as the nation's largest school district returned to in-person learning.
It's back to the normal routine and it's better just to be with your teacher.
Masks are required in the classroom. Almost every room has at least 2 air purifiers, and all school staff must be vaccinated.
Kids coming to school today all across this city are going to experience a gold standard of health and safety measures.
The return to school in New York comes amid a nationwide spike. There are more than 750,000 confirmed cases of the coronavirus in kids between August 5th and early September.
About 65% of eligible New York City school students are vaccinated, and vaccines for younger children may not be far off.
You could potentially have a vaccine available to children aged 5 to 11 by Halloween if everything goes well.
And a new scientific review of data that included 2 senior FDA officials finds vaccines remain so effective at preventing severe disease, including the Delta variant, that booster shots for the general public are not appropriate at this time. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
The review in The Lancet found vaccination had 95% efficacy against severe disease, both from the Delta variant and from the Alpha variant, and more than 80% efficacy at protecting against infection from those variants. A trade group representing household consumer names like Coca-Cola and Kellogg wants more clarity about the vaccine mandate from the White House. The Biden administration says businesses with 100 employees or more must institute vaccine mandates or face financial penalties. But the Consumer Brands Association sent a letter asking for details on how the requirements will be applied. Lawmakers, officials, organizations, and businesses here in Arkansas and across the country are voicing their concern and confusion over the new rules. Over the weekend, Governor Asa Hutchinson shared his worries about making employers require the vaccine.
The federal mandate will be counterproductive. It's going to increase resistance. We're going to grow our vaccinations whether you have this or not.
GOP governors from several states and the Republican National Committee are now threatening a legal battle over the new vaccine rules. Much more on those tonight at 5 and 6 as well. But what are the chances they'll win those lawsuits? That's just part of the question on a lot of people's mind. Are these mandates even legal? Adam Longo with our Verify team went straight to the experts and he brought them two of your top questions.
So first, can the federal government require that federal employees get the COVID vaccine? And second, can they require that private employees get vaccinated? So let's start with federal employees. We spoke with Lawrence Gostin from Georgetown Law and Stephanie Rapp-Tully, a federal employment lawyer based out of D.C. And both say, generally speaking, yes, the federal government can require its workforce to get the shot.
The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and the Department of Justice have both said that it's lawful to do it. And there are federal courts that have upheld other workforce mandates.
Rapp-Tully says there are exceptions for those with medical or sincerely held religious objections. Another caveat here, unions. Rapp-Tully says the federal government would have to negotiate an agreement with them in order to avoid litigation. So yes, in general, it's legal for the president to mandate that federal employees get the vaccine. So let's get to that second question now. Can the federal government require that private companies vaccinate their employees? This one is a little tricky. We asked Lawrence Gostin, our global health expert, and two constitutional law experts, Robert Peck from the Center of Constitutional Litigation and Trevor Burrus at the Cato Institute. So Gostin and Peck say yes, this rule has legal precedent, including in the Supreme Court. But meanwhile, Burrus says no, the president does not have the constitutional power to make you get a vaccine. So without a consensus, we can't verify an answer on this right now, but Peck says we are likely to see this one fought out in the courts. With your Verify, I'm Adam Longo.
Lots to watch there. All right, today is the final day to early vote in the Little Rock special election for Mayor Frank Scott Jr.'s increased sales tax proposal. If approved, the tax would begin January 1st of next year, and it would remain in effect for the next decade. The new tax will cost you about 68 cents more for every $100 you spend in Little Rock, and it's expected to raise more than $500 million for the city. Now let's talk about how you can vote. Today you can vote at the Pulaski County Regional Building across the street from City Hall. That polling location is open until 5 tonight. More locations open tomorrow for Election Day. If you're still undecided about which way you'll vote, we've got you covered. We recently talked to several people, including Mayor Frank Scott Jr., about why voters should approve the tax. And we also caught up with those, including Vice Mayor Lance Hines, who are urging people to vote no. You can hear both sides of the argument and find a full explainer on the proposed tax right now on thv-at-noon. You can also text the word vote to that number you see right there on your screen, 501-376-1111. We'll send you a link to that story. In other election news this afternoon, California voters will decide tomorrow if Governor Gavin Newsom should be removed from office. Republicans blame Newsom for mismanaging California's homeless population and for going too far with pandemic lockdown orders and mask mandates. Under recall rules, a majority of voters have to vote yes to oust Newsom. If that happens, then the top vote getter among 46 challengers becomes governor. And get this, that's no matter how small their share of the vote is. The latest poll suggests more than half of them plan to vote against the recall. That's a much wider margin in favor of the Democrat than 6 weeks ago.